Hello and welcome to the Gaia update for the Libra full moon that's happening on April 10th, 11th, depending what time zone you are in 2017. I'm Adrienne. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you can join me for the live activation to tap in to this amazing full moon that's triggering this T-square that's around generational change in the sky. So that's going to happen the day before on the 9th at noon, and you can sign up below. Sign up. That gives you instant access to the replay to tap into this energy, and also go ahead and get on the chat and let me know how this new full moon is affecting you. So this full moon is incredibly powerful. There is so much tension building that will be kind of resolved and released, and we're looking at this opening up to a new chapter in our life, in the age on planet Earth. And we're kind of at this place on the bridge between the old and the new. So we've talked about the Pluto-Uranus square. This is generational change, massive generational change. These planets came together in the square beginning in 2011. And so now we are, these planets have separated out of their square, but the other planets are triggering them. So what's going on right now in this whole year is that Jupiter is opposing Uranus in Libra. So when this full moon happens, it's hanging out right near Jupiter in Libra, completely triggering this Pluto-Uranus square. Now, Pluto-Uranus square is, these are generational, slow-moving planets, big change. And the sun and the moon are coming together. So when there's a full moon, that means the sun is opposite of the moon. So the sun's in Aries, and that's going to be hanging out with Uranus. And then the moon is in Libra, hanging out with Jupiter. And so really triggering this opposition between Uranus, the awakener, in the sign of the self, the new identity that humanity is trying to move into in this Aquarian age. And then Libra, Jupiter is our expander. It's in the sign of relationships. So that is further complicated by the fact that Venus is in retrograde right now. So Jupiter is expanding our work in relationships. It's saying the revolutionary change, this planetary, evolutionary, generational shift that's trying to happen, is actually happening through our individual relationships. And so with Venus retrograde, we're really feeling that. People from the past coming up, a great opportunity to make peace and to resolve and to reconnect with old friends, or healing old intimate relationships, family members. And Jupiter is saying that the way into this new age is through expanding and understanding and evolving our personal relationships. So the thing about Jupiter right now is that it is opposing Uranus. It's not quite as exact as it was in the early part of this month, but now it's in an exact square with Pluto. So Jupiter and Uranus in Libra and Aries there are actually making this powerful T-square with Pluto. And Pluto is death and destruction, power, money. And so it's in the sign of Capricorn, which is a sign of the structures of our life, the authority of our life, what kind of holds together our reality. So guess what? Our reality is getting a makeover. And this has been happening, these energies, since 2011, but haven't yet seen manifest in our world what these changes might look like. And now we're finally seeing that. So with Venus retrograde right now, we're having an opportunity to look at where this is happening in our life. Our revolution is about our personal relationships evolving and about valuing ourselves. Venus has spent a lot of time in Aries this year with this Venus retrograde, and it's just actually recently moved into Pisces, shining a light through the eyes of the feminine on the past age of Pisces and kind of looking into the collective. Pisces is a sign of the collective, the connection of the whole, a very spiritual energy. But in the Piscean age, that oneness was used as a way to control humanity. So with Pluto and Capricorn, we're looking at breaking down the structures that are no longer working. And how are we doing that individually? Through our personal relationships with Jupiter there in Libra. So Jupiter, with this exact square with Pluto for this month of April, is talking about the breakdown. With Venus retrograde, it's revaluing ourselves and revaluing how we're treating ourselves and how we're being treated in relationships. If you've been holding on to a toxic relationship that isn't serving the truth of who you are, this is the energy that is going to be breaking that down, helping you stand up for yourself, helping you value yourself enough. So where things are working in your life, that's where you've been valuing yourself. And where things are not working and you'd like change, that's where you haven't been able to value yourself. We're talking about your true self. And this might not be the part of you that has gotten accolades, or the part of you that fit in, or the part of you that made your parents or society happy. Often this is the part of you that was rather subdued or judged as you were growing up, and when the part of you that didn't fit in. But guess what? Uranus in Aries and Venus retrograde in Aries is saying, stand up for that part. That's your unique self. Nobody else can do it like you. And that unique self is how you express the divine in this incarnation. There's a massive awakening happening in certain soul groups right now on planet Earth, and they're coming into their healing ability, their shamanic ability, their ability and their desire to bring home their gifts onto planet Earth and as in service to humanity. So 2017 is a really exciting year of activation, and if you can tap into these energies, you can really move your life in a new direction. So we are preparing for this, and we're learning about what we need to do to move in that new direction, but it's not quite time for that to happen. And we're really feeling a slowdown in energy right now, because this week, right leading up to this full moon on the 6th of April, Saturn turns retrograde. And so Saturn is our main action planet. And it's about methodical action, but still it's an action planet. And so when Saturn turns retrograde, around the time it turns retrograde, it can feel like you don't want to do anything, or your projects aren't moving forward the way you would like them to, or you're confused about what you really want and the next steps forward. So it's not quite a time to leap off into the new yet, but that is coming at the end of May and the month of June. Great time to really shoot off in a new direction, and you might not even know what that really looks like, but now is the time to get into alignment with the energy of it, because 2017, this year of the fire rooster, and the North Node moving into Leo on May 10th is a big shift towards expressing, especially creatively, expressing these changes, this revaluation, this breakdown of the structures and the relationships and our value system of our life, and expressing the new that's coming. We have had massive energetic shifts on the planet, but we're not seeing those changes yet. And it's like when Pluto and Uranus came together in a conjunction in the mid-60s, but it wasn't until the late 60s until we saw the social changes that were associated with that conjunction. So this is where we are right now, humanity. What does it look like for us to move into this new age? And so Venus is retrograde. So we talked about that Saturn turning retrograde, kind of being like, whoa, reevaluate. How do I want to move forward in building a life that's most supportive to my higher goals, to the truth of who I really am, my individual gifts that I'd like to bring forward on the earth as service. we're also having Mercury turn retrograde on the 9th. So we've got that Saturn turning retrograde, Mercury turning retrograde, leading right up to this full moon. And this full moon is a massive culmination of this old story and moving into the new story. The bridge is Libra. Libra with Jupiter and Libra, and that is about our relationships, not just our relationships to others, but our relationship to ourselves. This is where the revolution is happening in our time. With Uranus in Aries, the revolutionary planet of unexpected changes and things coming along to shift our life, the awakener, that's in the sign of the self in Aries. So the true awakening that's happening, the revolution of our time, is each of us beginning to stand up. It's not all of us getting together necessarily in a march or a protest to stand up. It's each of us in our individual life, in our relationships. We're changing the patterns of the planet through each of us individually, coming out of the control and domination story, competition and lack within our relationships, and the narcissistic patterns, and we're coming into being able to work together what's best for everyone. Now, that also needs to serve the true self. So we're demanding that our relationships serve our higher purpose, and that our life starts to align with what we really want to do here on Earth. And that's the true awakening of the new humanity that's happening from this Uranus and Aries. So anytime Jupiter and Uranus come together, Jupiter the expander, Uranus the awakener, it's an amplification. Jupiter brings more and more, but it can be very lucky, very synchronistic, and your life can turn on a dime. So tap into this energy around this full moon. That is not a huge time for action right now, but it is a great time to receive intuitive messages and tap into the guidance that's coming and whispering in your ear about how to work this shift so that your life is more supportive of the truth of who you are. So really, really potent time. So we're having these planets turn retrograde, and we also have Venus in retrograde. So during the time period here, between when Mercury turns retrograde on the 9th, Venus turns direct on the 15th, it's going to feel kind of weird for a number of reasons, but we've got Jupiter retrograde, Saturn, we will have Saturn retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and Venus retrograde. So that is a lot of energy, and retrograde planets are going closer to the Earth and bringing us in an inward journey with the planetary stories. And so it's a strange time where it's just not really, it might feel like it's hard to move forward or know what you want. And this is made even stranger by the fact that Venus in its retrograde is going back to the point where Chiron is in Pisces. Now, Chiron's the wounded healer, also the shaman. The story of Chiron is that he had to go through a bunch of pain and wounding and suffering to develop his healing skills to be able to help other people out of suffering. And so what's happening right now is a reconciliation of lifetimes of experiences that have led to this point in time right now, where many people's souls are awakening to their true path. And it's pretty exciting time. And if you can use this energy to your advantage, you can definitely be able to turn on the dime and shift your life towards that most amazing, most satisfying experience here on planet Earth. It is time for us to come home and bring our light and bring our gifts of service. In order to do that, we've got to stand up for ourselves. We've got to be willing to honor those parts of ourselves. The healing part of ourselves, the empathic part of ourselves, the compassionate part of ourselves, the greatest gifts that the world needs right now, unfortunately in the Piscean age, were not valued, highly valued, and actually more like persecuted. So we have to go find this persecuted self that had the idea that what was really right about us, we were told that was wrong about us. So whatever we told that was wrong about us is actually right about us. And that's why Venus is going back into this territory in this retrograde. Really, really important. Coming up with Chiron, the wounded healer, and making sure she's got this lesson, that she knows how to let go of the woundedness of the past, the stories, rewrite our history, and start right now, right here, valuing the whole self that has the feminine and the masculine working together in an alchemical union. This is the astrology of 2017. It's an opportunity for an alchemical union on planet Earth and within each of us in our male and female. So, but while Venus is visiting Chiron here in these degrees of Pisces, it's forming a square with Saturn. And Saturn, having just turned direct, is turning retrograde. What that means is the planet in relative to Earth, it seems like it's slowing down and going backwards. But what that really means is, or what happens is that the planet lingers on the same degree for a long time. And where is Saturn lingering in this retrograde, turning retrograde, is at the galactic center, 27 degrees Sagittarius. And Saturn just hangs out there for about 5 weeks, right on the galactic center. This feeling, the feeling of the galactic center, is a deep feeling of destiny. So not only are we having all these energies supporting our awakening and the expression of our new self and our new world, we're also getting pulled like a vortex into our destiny. And that can be scary and kind of feel a little uncertain. And a lot of people are finding that their destiny, this whatever they're being pulled into right now, might not have been what they expected. So this is this life turning on a dime, and it's not necessarily bad or good, or it could be great and amazing, but it's still different from what we thought. And it's a really great time, if you really want to get on your path, it's a really great time to be open to all possibilities right now. It's not that time to leap off yet in new directions, but we're gathering the information and doing the healing we need to do to stand up for the truth of who we really are and start to implement that as an expression in this incarnation. So a lot of people who have been going through a lot of pain and suffering and letting go over these last 4, 5, 6 years, it's finally going to start paying off. And life getting lighter and feeling like you're on your path, a deep satisfaction available for these soul groups that are activating, even though it might feel like things are falling apart. So Venus is hitting Chiron there, and it goes and turns direct right when it hangs out with Chiron. So when it's turning direct around the middle of the month, a few days after this full moon, we're going to really be feeling this forward motion. But coming out of the woundedness, we've got to start acting on what we've learned from the past. And that has to do with the Venus valuation, standing up for your self-worth. And so the end of April, Venus comes back over the Aries point for the 3rd time. That's 0 degrees Aries, the spark of life, the very beginning. And so it is a new beginning and a new birth. And so April, the whole energy of April is this incubation period of time, the bridge, the incarnation, the conception, the place between the old and the new. So what do we need to let go of, resolve, heal in our past relationships so that we can feel more supported moving forward into our life? And with Saturn or Venus and Chiron hanging out right there, Venus is turning direct, Saturn's turning retrograde, and it's all squaring up on that galactic center. So our destiny, we're looking at our destiny according to the goddess, to these feminine parts of ourselves that we haven't valued, and to our woundedness of the past. And a huge opportunity to completely reclaim your self-worth and use that impetus and this awakening energy to get ready for that leap off into the new, which will be coming, the opportunity, the end of May, beginning of June, as these planets reconcile, come out of their shadows, and then Saturn will be retrograde until August. So we're going to be, that's the whole year energy of reevaluating how we're building this new world and our destiny as humanity, as Saturn lingers over that galactic center. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm here because I'm passionate about helping people have an empowered awakening experience. So I hope you'll check out my offerings at adriennelise.com and sign up below for that live activation. Get into this full moon in Libra, the personal planets triggering this generational change. We're finding out finally what all this means for us individually, and it's a super exciting time if we can use this energy to get on track. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the 9th for the activation. Namaste.